Hello and welcome to episode number 27 of building a 2D game in Flutter with multiplayer support. Today we will basically integrate the server spike that we did for gRPC into our game. But first things first, we now have a website. I created a website for our game to basically have a one-stop for people to go to find out all the information about it. And the homepage will basically just have the video and a playlist here that people can open up, and all the links to follow on Twitch, YouTube, and on Twitter. Over here is also the Twitch, so you should actually see myself here. Okay, gonna have to go over to the next tab. And then here we actually have the game embedded, so I can actually play the game right in here in this page. The web version still has hiccups. If you see that every time, every few seconds or so, it has like this little jump. And as far as I could determine, that is the garbage collector causing us little problems. So I'm going to post this into the channel, this link. And so, yeah, what I said about the hiccups there, the garbage collector is causing some problems. So the web version is kind of working, but not greatly. The performance is not going to be great for that. So we'll see if maybe we can do something there. Maybe we can fix something, or we can hope that the Flutter web support will just get improved, right? And I'm pretty sure they are improving it. So that's what I wanted to show there. Another thing, actually I did stream 2 episodes last night, and I was mainly fixing a bunch of things related to the gRPC spike that we had and kind of debugging things. And quite honestly, I don't think it's that exciting. I was also a little bit tired, so it wouldn't be too much fun to watch me struggle through this. But what we can do is we're going to look at what I did there. So I just do a quick summary of how we progressed in the spike, and then we'll move on and integrate it into our game. So I'm going to use the GitHub log or the Git log here to show what we changed. So so we made this one broadcast. That was a problem that we had. We were trying to broadcast on the stream that we were returning, but we actually had to make the stream controller broadcast. That was one problem I fixed there. Another one, that we ran into a problem with the fractions. I made a comment here. Basically, the maximum and minimum values of doubles we can basically pack there, otherwise we'll have some overflow going on. And as you can see, this is a little bit more, there are a little bit more changes here. Basically ran through some things to see if we can really add multiplayer. So I'm just going to summarize what happened there. Basically, we did change our, we don't have to look at the generated code obviously, but we did change some of our proto. So let's actually just look at the proto that we changed. So we introduced an empty message, and we basically made it to where a player can say, I want to play, and then it returns a playing client, which is basically just for now an ID. So the player knows who he or she is. And then every time when the player basically says, I'm going to sync myself, and we renamed that to sync, as you can see here, it will send this client update, which then will include that ID as a client ID. So that way, basically, I can also disconnect and reconnect. And also we're going to have multiple players going on. So obviously the client and the server will receive all these players and need to know who's who, right? So that's what that is for, the ID of the client. So these are just basically changes to make that work. And now, and another thing we ran into, we wanted to make sure that we can actually reconnect and disconnect. So we wrote ourselves a little thing to basically simulate the client disconnecting. You can see that here, if I have a certain amount of updates, I interrupt the connection on purpose. We found out that there's no real good way to tell if we are connected. There's no method on the channel. We added some comment regarding that. So that was, that took a lot of time working through that. And again, that's probably not too exciting to walk through, but we put the comment here. And the other thing is obviously that we did on the server, we added cancel on error, and we didn't change anything on the server because disconnecting and reconnecting already worked. But by changing the client, we basically proved to ourselves that it does. So that's pretty much what we did here. So now what we're going to do is we are actually going to use that code here, and we're going to most likely copy a little bit from there. The first thing I want to do is I want to basically create that proto definitions file, right? So that's what we're going to do first. Let's think about this. So we had this here in protos. I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm thinking about how we're going to separate the server code from the client code. I think just keeping it all in lib for now is fine. We can always move things around later. So let's just close all this because we don't need it. There's one thing that we still have to check in though. I did change the game keys. If you remember, I just renamed them to bits and made them available. So I'm going to check that in so we have a clean slate. Oh, before I do that, obviously, I'm going to have to go and create a tag. This is episode number 27, start. And then I can go ahead and check that in. So we're going to say that this is like more game keys. Most likely that should be enough. We also the bits field, right? That's pretty much all that is. Not a huge thing. So let's make sure that our game still works. First of all, let's make sure of that. So we'll start that over here, and at the same time, we'll already start looking at the protobuf. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the one that we have on the left, and we create a new one over here. So let's create a new folder, protos. Okay, so our game, let's see if it still works. All right, yes, it still works. We can shoot, explosions are happening. Yes, everything is great. This is fun, right? So the game actually is pretty fun already, as far as I can tell. We just have to make it better now. We have to make it multiplayer. So we can stop this now. This was all the fun we're going to have today. No, I hope not. But now we're going to do the protos, and we're going to create a new one. So we called it message bus. Yeah, I don't know what else you want to call it. Message bus or I don't know. It is basically the message bus. It's called message bus then. And then in the left, we'll open the previous one, and then we'll go from there. So we're going to take the syntax, and now we're going to think very clearly about what we're doing. Okay, so we named it Dart. That's not correct. We should have named it. Oh no, I want to name the file. Can I rename the file like this? No, I can't. I have to open the project and rename it here. Message bus, and it's called proto. All right, now we get syntax here. Okay, good. So now we can go ahead and start implementing something. So the empty message we still need, but we'll start from the bottom. So this one we can basically take as is, right? This is used to pack basically doubles into integers, and depending on which one we use, the precision is going to be different because we're going to use a different packing algorithm. Now we also have a bunch of those, and those will basically take as is. So we have a packed fractional point. Basically what that means is we are taking two doubles and we're actually packing them into one variable. And basically that also means that they cannot be that large. We found that out, as I mentioned. I put a comment there. The maximum value is around 327 that we can support that way. And then the packed type position is basically derived of that. I'm going to go, or we already have the packed type position. I'm going to put actually that one on top. So I'm going to go from the most primitive types to the less primitive that are actually using the primitive types below, right? So that's what we'll be using for now. Okay. Now let's look at some other things here. We have the packed player model. All these things are pretty much good, and I'm just copying them over one by one to also talk about it and to make sure that what we're doing makes sense. So you can see that the flags are now UN32 because we talked about that, I think, in episode 25, around there, about actually we can look that up in our website now. Let's see, episode. This was the. Oh, here we go. 26, right? If you want to catch up on that, you can watch episode 26, where we go through how we pack those using bits, basically. And now we're going to start with just. We're going to start with a simple one. We're going to just do the play method for now. So all we need there is we need empty and the playing client, right? A playing client is basically a client that has been assigned an ID. Also what we need though is we need a game ID, right? Because, so that's what we're going to change. So we're going to make that client ID, and you make another UN32, make that a game ID, right? Because there could be multiple games going on. We don't have that yet, but we may have, so we might as well put that in already. And then a client update is basically, well, we don't have to worry about that yet, right? So for now, we just basically want to say we want to connect and play, right? Okay, so the other code that we will need is the code that, well, first of all, we need to generate our types from there. So we put the generated code here. We say generated directory package generated, and we can mark that actually in IntelliJ as a generated. Okay, we cannot. Okay, once it's in, I don't like that too much, but we'll live with it. I mean, we could think of maybe putting the server in a totally different. No, but we need to reach. Yeah, we need to reach the generated also from the client. So we can't mark it generated, but we'll be fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder which has our scripts in it, and it's called scripts because we might have more than one in the future, and one of them is going to called regenerate. And we're going to basically just copy and paste the code there. All right, but what we want to do though is we want to put in there the information about how to set up these things, right? You're going to need protoc and the plugin. So we're going to look up again that website, grpc dart getting started. I think dart getting started. I think there was all the information on there. Yes, so copy link. So, and obviously we're going to put this also in the README. We didn't really take care of our README for yet, but we basically need to do that at some point. But for now, at least if someone runs this and it doesn't work, then at least right away they see, I think it's called the protoc plugin. Yeah, protoc. So you see right away the instructions here, right? Dart. Okay. Okay, so now we got the information here. Now if you're comfortable just pulling this in, the thing is, like, what I don't like necessarily is that you have to have global things installed. I wish I could just make that part of the project. Maybe if you say pub get, right, it would automatically pull these things down, put them where they need to be, but we can worry about that maybe later. But for now, we're good. So let's look at, so we're putting this in generator, lib generator, that's correct. So actually what we could do is we could run this and see what happens. All right, let's see. Warning, the protoc directory doesn't exist. Okay, so I guess since this is now in script, so I'm going to actually open this in a Vim editor, which is nicer for these kind of things. Generate. So I'm going to say this is a, well, this already, it knows that it's a shell script, so okay, so that didn't work. Normally I have some, okay, but I definitely should still have this. Oh wow, why are all my macros not working? That is not cool. But what we can do is I have some scripts here where I'm going to steal this stuff. That's what I wanted. But then there should be also a dir thing where you can basically figure out where you are. And I used to have a macro for it. I wonder why this is no longer working. It might be because I updated to, yeah, it's no longer working for some reason. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this from my dot files. There's probably somewhere one in there that has it in it. So that's what we wanted. We just wanted our own one. Oh, this probably works. So this is basically a trick to get the current dir in which a bash script is running. And of course, no one can ever remember that ever, right? So dir is this one. There's this weird thing you have to do. And then basically what we can say, okay, we know now in which dir we are, so we can we are on a script dir, so we need to go one higher, and then that should work. So now we should be able to run this. First of all, we need to also make it executable. And now we should be able to run it. Produce warning directory does not exist. Maybe I have to do this. What? Okay, let's say let's make a variable here. Generated dir equals this. Okay. Oh well, yeah. So this should actually, it exists. So how are you telling me that this does not exist? Or is it looking from wherever I'm running? But I'm giving it the full path, right? Oh yeah, I know. Maybe because I didn't. Did I call it Protos? Well, but I did. Protos. Oh no, hold on, but it's not. The generator is not, shouldn't have Protos in it. Include Protos. Oh, it's missing that. Okay. So Protos dir equals lib Protos. So So this would be the protos deer. Okay. File does not reside in any path specified using proto. You must specify. What? Okay. Push is to attempt to figure out when two paths, absolute and relative, are equivalent. It's harder than you think. Well, maybe then we can't do the deer thing. That's annoying. That is annoying. So maybe what we'll do is let's just try this and see if this works, and then we'll put a note in there that this always needs to be run from the root, which is really annoying. What? It still complains. Well, you know what? Maybe what we'll do is we'll actually, it's a good point. We'll use this chance to put the protos outside. So now we're basically replicating the way we had it. So we have two new folders. We have scripts and protos, message bus proto. So and now basically we should just have protos. Okay, now it worked. Oddly enough. Okay, that's really odd. Quite honestly, I don't understand why this worked now suddenly. Because all we did, we just moved it out. We moved it outside of the lib folder. Okay, but what we can do is we can try now if we can at least parse the generated here. And let's just try this, if that works. Okay, that works. And now if we can parse the prodigy, because I want to be actually able to run this from anywhere, right? I don't want to have to run this from, yeah, okay. Okay, so let's see if we can maybe say bash get relative path. Let's do that. I wonder if I can do it like this. We'll try to see this, and then if this works. So we comment this out for now. See if you can get the relative protos here. All right. So learning a bit of bash while we're doing this. Bash is always useful to know. Bad substitution. Okay. So maybe we have to do it this way. Real path not found. Oh shit! I don't like it. Seriously. Actually, sometimes it helps to just copy the error message. That's sometimes how you get the best Google results. Let's just copy that. Okay, I think we're going too far with this. Let's just... I don't think we have... We don't have that. Let's just go ahead and give up on this for now. All right, so okay, cool. That's fine. So we have that. We added the protos. We added the proto generate script, and now we should have something in generated. Okay, and now we need basically to get our protobuf and our gRPC. And as I mentioned before, this promises to be without any libraries, and that is true, but only for the UI. There's no way we're going to write all this stuff like a server and protobuf and all these things from scratch. There's a limit to what I want to actually write from scratch, obviously, right? So this one is for nice. And now we can do flutter pub get. It should download these things. And now our error should go away. Okay, now it's gone. And so basically we can now check that in as a right, let's see what we did. We added dependencies. Can I just move them up there? All right. So we added dependencies for protoc and gRPC, and then so this is complaining. Maybe if we do it the 100% proper way, like actually supposed to do this in bash, maybe then it's going to be happier. So complaining. Oh, yep, well, it's there. Double quote to prevent gobbling. Okay, so well, let's do this over here. So it's teaching us how to do proper bash. That's not bad. So now we got the regenerate script. We updated our dependencies and we ran it. And we added. What happened to our proto? The protos. Where? Hold on. No, here. Oh, it's part of it. Why didn't we see it then? Am I just blind? Oh, here it is. Okay. All right, so we added protos. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do, we're going to check that in. We're going to say that gRPC added proto and gRPC depths and started proto C types. Also including script to okay, so that's good. Our game should still work exactly like before. Hold on, did I just only commit this one file now? I should just keep using the terminal. Fortunately, I can do this, so now we should be fine. All right. So now we can start building a server. All right, so we're going to make a directory or package called server. We're just going to see if, well, actually, you know what? Before we do that, let's implement all this packing stuff. So we'll start. We put those somewhere, conversions, right? So we have some conversions. So that was part of the related to the proto stuff. So probably should put I mean, these are like, it's called conversions for now. It's fine. And we create a new dot file. I don't like this. I don't want to call it conversions. I almost want to have like something like utils. Okay, now did this again. Where I minimize my window and then it doesn't want to come back. Okay, that's just awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a utils folder instead. Utils. I know this is like a bad name, but at least we can put anything there. Packing types, something like that. And so we already implemented this. I will not go through and code this up from scratch again. So we'll just put it in here. If you watched the last probably 3 or 4 episodes, you should know what these are. So pack point. All right. Do we need anything else? Okay. Let's actually just open. All right. So we got those in. Now we did something to the type position where we added pack methods. So we need to add this to our game. So the thing is, we call them models, and this is a game model. This will have to change. It will have to have multiple players. Once we get to that stage, we'll need a bunch of extra things. So for now, all I do is I'll do the type position. I don't even need it yet. It's part of the engine, so. But we'll add it in here. So basically, I want to get the basic pack types in, right? So here we have this. So here we had a point. I think we had our own point that we defined for this. It's defined in packing. So we'll use it from packing. And then the fractional point is actual. But what we'll do is we'll show those. No, actually here. We'll show this and we want to show this. Okay, so we got the packing method in, and now we just need the unpacking method. All right. Hold on, I'm confused. Hold on, how did I get here? Something happened that was not planned. I'm supposed to get this in. I went to the wrong file. All right, so this one should no longer be needed. Okay, so now we got type position pack, type position unpack, and so basically at this point we have the basic packing code, right? So we can say that, and this has to do with gRPC, including, and let me actually do this. I'm gonna make this higher so you can see this better, including basic packing types and related methods. Okay, so we got that. Now actually we don't really actually need that yet for the main thing that we want to do in the server. So we'll create that server now, and while I'm gonna put this in a separate, I wonder if it needs to be in a separate package though, server and client, but it could just be, I'm just gonna make, we could just make a package called gRPC maybe, right? Because that's where we're going to implement maybe the client and the server together, which makes sense because that's all related to communication. I think that's fine. We can always move it later. So we're going to put first the server. And the server basically, we're going to so we're going to have the, and we're going to separate this out. We're going to have the server, and so we're going to have another dot file actually that's called game service, because that's what it's called. So if you have a class game service, and it's going to basically extend some sort of a game service. Is this what we called it? I think we did. Yeah. Okay, so it's a game updates service. So we might as well rename this to game updates service, and rename the file as well. Game updates service. All right, so now we got that. Why is this complaining about this? Okay, so this will basically the client will call that method when it wants to play. So what we need in this service, we need to have different games. So I'm gonna have a game. And we're gonna put this on here for now. And a game has an ID. And it's going to be an int ID, and it has clients. I think playing clients. Clients. So we'll create structure. Well, actually, yes. So basically, we need to have a constructor. So we give it the ID, the playing. Why is this confused? So we got the clients. This got really confused here, and we just basically assign it. We don't need to pass it in because we can just have no clients as default. So what's complaining about? I cannot make. Oh well, it's a list of playing client, and so I guess I have to make a new list, playing client. Okay, so why is this convert to literal? Okay, fine. Why is this still an issue? Oh, because I'm missing this, and it's still an issue. Okay, so now we have a game. So basically, we'll have one game. And so we even make this simple on ourselves and not even worry about too many games yet. Or maybe we'll make the hard on ourselves. So we'll actually make a map games. It's a map of ID as an int and you know why we use ints, right? Because we want to save space. If you send strings, well, it's not going to be so huge, but basically strings are 64 bits as far as I read this in the protoc buff protocol. And we can make an int int 32 that's half the size, so we'll use ints. So that would be a game. And when we construct the service, we'll create games. We don't need the new. Remove that right away. Got this all backwards, but we'll. Okay, so now we have the games. Now what we'll basically do, if we don't have a games yet, if a client wants to play, right, games is empty, then we create games dot add we created an ID, so we'll start with 0, right? And again, we'll have to use unique identifiers for this, right? So no one can like suddenly say they are playing in a specific game when they're not, so they can't guess. But for now, that's fine. Game ID equals we create a new game with this game ID, and then we have to increase the game ID. Okay. So we have a client. So what we'll do, we'll try to get a game. And so the game then is, so we can actually assign it here. And then we just say this is a game. And then else, if we already have one, then we'll just get the first. Game equals games dot first. Is there something? Games dot. Or we can just get the one. What I'm going to do is this here, and then we get it from the last game ID. That should work. And again, this is like temporary. We're going to have to figure out how to create a unique keys, right? Get game. And then usually what you do though is get or create, right? To indicate that we're actually going to create a new game if there's none there. Okay, so we got our game, and then we got the playing. We need to get a playing client. And what does a playing client want? It wants, okay, well, we can't look in here. That's just going to be way too painful. So what we're going to do is we're going to look in our protos. Look in there. So the playing client wants a game ID. It wants a game ID and it wants a client ID. So okay, and at this point we're going to look at how we can dart generate unique number. There's a package for that. So I'm going to use a package. Again, this is something that's on the server. This is something that I don't want to implement by hand. That's really, I mean, it would be nice if you want to read through the code there. It's interesting, but but it creates a string. I mean, this also generates a string. Okay, so that looks interesting actually. Let's see what it says here. It says I'm a generator from what I can do. Okay, but in our case, this is exactly what we want, right? So inside the utils, I'm gonna put a package called IDs. And random get unique. Well, let's call it random so we know it's actually random. Int. I have to seed something. Basically, like the seeding is so the random numbers are not. Oh, here's the seed. Okay, so we create a random with a seed. What is random seed? Creates a secure random number. Okay. I wanna if you actually ever see that throwing. So let's just assume this works as we want. I wonder what's the max. Let's use that. So now we basically taking the maximum space that we can take. We generate the most possible random numbers for that. So that works well. Now in the game update service, we can say, so here you can also say the game ID is nothing for now. We can actually rename the current game ID, whatever. And what we'll do is game is get a create game, and for the game ID we actually say current game ID equals random something. What do we call it? Get random int. Get random int. And the same we do for the client ID. Final client ID equals get random int. And so now we can create a play. Again, we don't want to look at this. We don't look at the proto. Now we can have the game ID and we have the client ID, current game ID, and the client ID. Oh, it doesn't allow us to do that. Yeah, remember how all these are like this. So the game ID is basically the current game ID, and the client ID is the client ID. All right, so now we got a plain client, and we can send that back. Except that it wants to be a future value because it's expecting future. And why it has this API is there might be some way that we have to generate do something async, right? So it supports that for us to do something async to provide the to then provide the return value, right? So what's wrong here? Get or create game. Okay, there's nothing wrong. maybe what it should actually return is the game ID. Yeah, it's kind of weird. We're not using the return value of this. So get or create current game. Let's call it that. So it's going to get we're going to create a current game. If there's already a current game, then it's going to get it. Otherwise, it's going to return. Well, it's going to return it. We're not really doing anything with the game, but obviously, like for here, we want to return this. So, okay, it's just here that we don't really need it, right? Actually, what we could do is we could say final game equals, and then we wouldn't have to access the current game ID. We just know that this is a game.id, right? And also what we need to do though is the game, we need to add playing clients, right? Clients, we need to add this playing client, right? So now we know that we have that as a client. Then we can return that, and that's pretty much it for the game server so far, right? Now, so this one works. I wonder why this is marked in a certain way here. Probably because it's new. So the server, we need to still create the server. So we have the game server, what is called updates server. And basically, we are going to init it. We return nothing. We're just going to init the server. And we can take some args, but we're not really doing anything with them. It's just seems to be the API that we can use here, because that way we can like pass in, maybe we want the server to have a certain, what we may at some point simulate is that the server is slow or things like that. So the server is and we create a server for the game's updates service. So what is this server? That is a gRPC server. And as you can see, the gRPC server takes a list of services. So we actually need to pass in an array, or like a list. And now basically what we can do here, from the args, we could get the port. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say port equals 80, I guess 8080 is fine. So we can always then change that to read the port from the args, which we should definitely do at some point. So what we do is we do server.serve at port, and then we can just say print server listening. Okay, so what we'll do, also we'll put a main method here so we can easily launch the server. So basically it has the same signature as the server itself, takes args, and then we just await game. Actually what we can do is we can just not make this async, we can just return game server.init, and we need to pass args. Game update server, we named it. Dates, and we pass in the args. Okay, so now actually we should be able to run this. Let's just look if we have some errors. Don't have errors, so we should be able to run this now, and have a server standing up. Okay, what's going on? Okay, so we have a server running, and so this is a good place to stop. In the next episode, we will start working on the client for this. So make sure to come back. So right now we have a server, we have the types and so on, right? But obviously there's no client yet that's trying to play, and that's what we're going to do next, to have at least a client say I want to play, and then get back basically the game ID and the client ID for that client. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.